Today, we're going to have an important discussion. Normally, we tell you, hey, this is how you stack up cash. And we show you all kinds of ways to make money. And of course, we're still going to do that at the Overlord Club. But I want to tell you today the important steps you got to take to keep your cash, to manage it appropriately, okay? Making it's the first step. Keeping it and growing it over time and managing your life is the next step. Some of y'all are earning a lot more than others. Some of y'all got some ridiculous expenses you got to cut back on. We're going to talk about that. That's why I'm not going to give you a basic 80-20 rule or 30-30-30 or 40-30 or whatever other ratio people give you, because guess what? That really isn't appropriate for you. You know why? Because it's not tailored to you, okay? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what reasonable costs are and what they are not, okay? First off, let's talk about rent. If the cost of your living facility, your house, your rental, your condo, whatever it is more than half of your money, or is half of your money, or is more than a third, you're paying too much, okay? You need to spend less, or maybe make more depending on your situation. But either way, if you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing, you need to dial it back. You need to figure something else out, okay? You're spending too much. A lot of people in New York are probably going, "Ye gods, I'm spending 60% of my income on my rent or more, and I have 2 roommates." Yeah, you're in a bad place. You should probably move, okay? Look, a lot of these places, you may make a little bit more money, but the costs are a whole lot more. You end up making less than you actually should percentage-wise, okay? Maybe a higher absolute number, but so much of it's going out, you don't end up getting ahead, okay? Hate to tell you. So what you got to do, you got to get your costs reasonable. You got to make a good ratio of your income to your expenses. And first off, my golden rule, the number one rule, assuming you're not in piles and piles of debt, 20% of everything you make immediately, you cut it, you save it, invest it. When I say save, by the way, I usually mean invest in relatively liquid things. Invest it in something you can get to in 30, 60, 90 days, okay? I consider that savings perfectly appropriate. Some people are like, you need it immediately. Honestly, as long as you can get it within 30 days, you're going to be fine, because almost anything can be kicked for 30 days. And as long as you have a little bit of cash lying around, your emergency fund, you're fine. So when I use the word savings, just know sometimes I mean things like money markets. Sometimes I mean things like a 1 month CD. Okay, I never mean a 1 month CD. They don't pay anything, but I mean instruments of that nature, okay? It would be like a deposit at the Overlord Club. You can get it very quickly, but it does have a short lockup period. It's just how it is. It's just like when you try and withdraw too much from your brokerage or something, or they've got those daily withdrawal limits, or, all those kinds of things. Anyway, now, you need 20% immediately going into savings, unless, this is the exception, you are in a bunch of debt. If you have credit card debt or any other kind of high interest debt, immediately pay that off. Don't do anything else. Immediately shove your money into paying that off, okay? Because guess what? You aren't earning 30%. You know what is? The interest on some of them credit cards I've seen. It's ridiculous, okay? And if you are earning more than 30%, you shouldn't be in credit card debt. So don't try and trick yourself into thinking you're earning so much that you're beating your credit cards. Your credit cards are beating you. Don't be a slave to MasterCard, all right? So please, high interest credit card debt, all that kind of stuff, pay that off. We're going to assume you've already done that. If not, you're living on nothing until you've got that paid off. Minimize all your expenses. Take care of that. First priority. But after you pass that step, you need to build up a little bit of a reserve buffer, okay? You need at least $1,000 in cash that you can quickly get to in your bank account, your emergency reserve fund. It's not money you keep in your wallet even, it's just in your reserve fund. You forgot it exists. It should never be touched. If it is touched, you're in a very bad situation, okay? You want to eventually get that to at least $10,000, but start out getting at least $1,000, all right? It's not a lot, but you know what? Most people don't have $500 they can come up with, so it is something. Now, you gotta get your living expenses very reasonable, okay? 30% is the absolute cap. ever let you have on housing, okay? More than that, you're paying too much. Downsize, figure something out, make more money. I don't like more than 30% on your house expenses, okay? Now, of course, you need your food and all those other things, your entertainment, your living expenses, blah, blah, blah. You can pile in another 20% for all that catch-all stuff, okay? Go feed yourself, make sure your car is all fueled up, all that good stuff. You can manage that with 20% of your income. If you can't, you need to dial back your living expenses or you need to raise your income. One of the two, figure it out. If you're buying a whole bunch of random junk though, if you can't itemize the whole list of things you spend your money on and go, no, I really absolutely do need that, then okay, increase your income. Sometimes you got to work harder. Sometimes you got to pick up another job. It's just how it's going to be. I hate to tell you, but it is. All right? But we tell you the tough truths here so you can actually get ahead in life. Now, you've got 50% over here for living expenses, maximum between your house and your other living expenses. You got 20% kicked over here, your savings, okay? These are relatively short-dated investments, all right? Nothing longer than 5 years or something, and really most of it is accessible within a few months at the most, all right? That's what I would look at to that. Now, once you've got a $10,000 reserve fund where you've got, multiple months of expenses piled up, hopefully, you can start seeing about making those longer dated. And once you have a 6-month reserve of whatever your costs and stuff are, then you can start looking into really long terms and specialty plays. But make sure you always have 6 months worth of living expenses piled up before you start going into that, well, in 5 years it'll be great. No, don't do long-term investing until you've got your short-term taken care of, okay? If you can't go 6 months without, having work and income, then you can't invest 5 years into the future comfortably yet, okay? It's just how it is. Make sure you pile up your reserve fund. Now, look, you and I both know I absolutely hate cash just sitting around. So that reserve fund you're building up, it's okay to invest that in something like a money market thing or so. As long as you can get it in 45 days, it'll probably be okay. So put that in something, preferably with a 30-day or less grab time. It'll be fine. That way you're not losing money because, inflation's pretty rough. And I don't want you sitting around with $100,000 in the bank just while inflation eats you away. Like, obviously, you got to make money on your money. So keep it liquid, but make money on it. All right? Now, we got the 50%, we got the 20%, you got 30% left. Okay? This 30% is going to need to be used strategically. There's going to be other expenses in your life. You got to pay for a car or something, repairs, all those kinds of things. Yeah, I don't count that in living expenses because guess what? These are not required to keep you alive. They're also very inconvenient. Some of them you can't plan, blah, 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 blah. This extra 30% you got over here, you're going to spend it only if you have to, okay? You don't want to spend it on anything that is unnecessary, at least until you've got your 6-month reserve fund. This category, it needs to be in the does it save me money in the future category, okay? These are things like making sure your house is energy efficient. This is in the category of making sure your car is in perfect tip-top working order. Do you absolutely have to fix that one check engine light that probably is just a sensor that went bad? You should probably have it checked out, but don't commit to repairing stupid stuff when you can save that money and put it into other things, okay? Now, there's obviously, if you got kids, this category is going to get hit hard. It's how it is. They've got, all kinds of expenses. They got to go to school. They got new clothing. They got backpacks. They got new field trips to wherever. They got to go to this, that. Look, okay, this category, going to get hit hard if you're a parent. There's not really a whole lot you can do to get around it, all right? But you know what? Be prudent here, and you could probably find that you can save 10, 15% out of this bucket, this general use bucket, okay? And anything you save out of here, you can put over here in my preferred bucket, the investing bucket, the bucket that helps you get out of this hole. Because the bigger your investing bucket gets, the less percentage you need to cover these other two things, okay? So really, really, really try to keep this 30% bucket down. These not monthly costs that are sometimes random or just unexpected or not of the norm. anything you can do to keep them down. Now, am I saying don't let little Timmy go on his field trip? No, of course. Those things are happening, okay? Don't stop that. But you know what? Maybe you don't need to get the new shiny chrome thing for your car, for the wheels or whatever. Maybe have normal wheels, okay? Like these are your other expenses, the things that there's more room to cut in here. This is your Netflix subscription. Do you really need it? Look, let's be real here. We've all pirated. We should all probably do more of it. Some of these streaming services, they're just not giving you the value they should. Not for the money they're asking, okay? Cut it off. It's okay, all right? You don't have to play Keeping Up with the Joneses, because guess what? The Joneses are broke. Don't be broke with them, all right? Cut out some of these expenses that you just don't need right now. Budget appropriately based on your income, not on what income you want, on the income you have. Work to improve your income, but look, 30% for house, 20% for legitimate living. We're talking food, water, power, stuff like that. Bam. Okay, half your income's probably spent there already, all right? Hard to get that down much lower. If you can, great. Then you got your savings. These savings are mandatory, all right? The only time you are not allowed to have at least 20% being saved is when you have credit card debt or other high interest debt that you got to pay off, okay? That's the one exception. Then focus on paying that off because that'll free up money in the future to make money with, okay? That will free up your income. Now, random expenses are random expenses, okay? They're just going to happen. They're going to be annoying. Keep it to a minimum though, all right? These are your wants. Some of them I understand. Oh, my kid needs this. Yeah, for your kids, it's a need, but it's not a critical need. It is not a food and shelter need, okay? So you keep this separate in your head, even though those are going to happen, all right? It's just what it is. But anything you can cut down on is money earned, practically. It's actually better than money earned, because you know what? You've already been taxed on that money. So it's better than money earned by a lot. Now, we haven't talked about taxes. And it's because the more successful you are, the more you're going to get taxed and the ratios are going to change. But hopefully these other numbers are going to go down as your income goes up. So honestly, do this on the income you have after taxes. If you want a before taxes thing, you're going to cause me to end up just flipping the table and saying we should overthrow this tyrannical government because we're being taxed way too much. All right? So pay attention to your expenses. Keep your living costs to a minimum. I know it's not fun. It's not what you want to do. But you don't have the luxury of going out every weekend with your friends and having fun. All right? If you did, you wouldn't need to figure out how to fix your money problem. All right? Because you wouldn't have a money problem. If you can keep your living cost very reasonable, you can live on borderline nothing in America. Okay? Yeah, there are costs you got to have. But look, you can live on minimum wage perfectly fine if you have appropriate cost in this country, as long as it's not in a high cost of living area or something, obviously. Now, should you do this? No. Keep improving your income. Find new ways to make money. We actually have a ton at the Overlord Club. We're happy to help you get to a better place in your life. But you got to put in the work to make sure you're not blowing every cent that comes in. Lifestyle inflation is a killer, okay? It's why so many athletes go absolutely broke. It's why as soon as these guys get out of the NFL and stuff, in less than a decade, they're bankrupt, okay? Within 5 to 7 years, they're all out of money and they made millions. Why? Because they're spending too much. They have that highly inflated lifestyle. Yours might not be quite as bad. You might not be wrecking your third Bugatti this month, but you know what? They make 10,000 times more. Lifestyle inflation, your subscriptions, that extra coffee from Starbucks, all that nonsense, that's your Bugatti. If you want a real Bugatti, I would tell you to reevaluate your taste, honestly. I prefer Lambos. They're much, much better. But if you want the dream that you see these other people have, you gotta cut the small stuff, all right? I cut the small stuff like crazy. I'm the ultimate cheapskate, okay? I brew my own energy drinks, okay? Forget coffee. I make my own specialty stuff, all right? And I make it super, super cheap, all right? I build my own electronics. I do a ton of stuff. Now, I do a lot less of that these days, if I'm being honest, than I used to. But when I was starting out, I didn't spend a single cent if I didn't have to. And I still try and keep it as absolute lean and mean as a machine I can. Because you know what? That's how you get ahead. Wasting money, that's just for stupid people. It's not a rich people thing, that's a stupid people thing. And you're not stupid people. So don't act like it. Act like smart people and get what's yours. Work hard, put in the effort, keep your expenses low, invest wisely. It's not that hard. You can do it. Everyone can do it. All right? I'll see you guys later. Go check out the club for more tips and tricks on how to get your life in order. I'll see you guys next time.